Let's now shift our attention to the other big story that we are tracking on WION. Now, political tensions in Pakistan are pretty high. The Shehbaz Sharif administration is doing every kind of somersault it can to try and postpone the elections. A defeat by the mass favourite Imran Khan at this moment is going to be extremely hard for the Shehbaz Sharif government to avoid. The fact that at this moment Shehbaz Sharif government is looking at the prospect of losing an election if the elections are to be held is something which even the political pundits in Pakistan seem to agree with. But what is also happening, and what's also very clear, is that the Shehbaz Sharif government is facing crisis on pretty much every single front. There is a possibility that if the elections were to be held according to schedule, then Shehbaz Sharif's government could be wiped out in the state of Punjab within Pakistan. So what does the government in fact try and do there? It brings up the spectre of war with India in the near future. You heard that right, an impending war with India. And it's not just us, it is the government papers in Pakistan who are reporting this claim. And our next report gets you all the details.
Islamabad fears that India could launch an all-out war. Pakistan's Defence Ministry told the Supreme Court that it is facing threats from several countries, including India. Pakistan claims cross-border violations by India as an external threat. Pakistan government's affidavit in the top court also claims that India's research and analysis wing has identified fault lines to hurt the country. Pakistan's top brass fears that New Delhi could exploit the precarious situation in the country and launch a limited military action. Islamabad has also claimed threats emanating from the Afghan soil. There are also apprehensions about terror strikes launched by Pakistan's Taliban, which could be regrouping in Afghanistan. The statements were made in a report submitted to Pakistan Supreme Court as arguments against holding elections in the Punjab province. Remember, the Supreme Court has ordered that provincial polls be held in time, but the Shehbaz Sharif government is against it. With the growing popularity of ex-President Imran Khan, the Shehbaz Sharif-led Pakistan government is trying to delay the polls. The government in its report wants the polls to be held in October. The question is, if in reality there are so many threats, how could they vanish in the next 6 months?
All right, so that, of course, is the sensational report. And this is what is happening in Pakistan at this moment, at the time when the Shehbaz Sharif government is facing a crisis pretty much from every single quarter. And to try and help us decode these allegations better, we're being joined in by Amar Shaheen, who is a senior journalist who's joining us live on this broadcast. Now, Amar, this is a pretty fantastic defense that has been given by the Pakistani government to a court, saying that there is a possibility that the national security of Pakistan could be compromised if the elections for the Punjab province are held before the elections for the national legislature in Pakistan. What are we to even make of this very bizarre claim there?
It may be a fantastic claim, but it's a very old, used blame. Now, national security state that Pakistan is, not a welfare state, means that national security concerns are always going to be paramount for the country. Now, the current regime, which is the PDM alliance, which is made up of by PMLN, Pakistan People's Party, and MQM, they have contested elections against each other too. And guess what they have blamed each other about? They have called People's Party Indian agenda facilitators. Nawaz Sharif has been called Modi ka yaar, Modi's friend. MQM has been branded and taken action against as raw agents. So this is what they've been doing to each other. Of course, the Pakistani government is going to talk about, this and that working for India. Now, if it was true that so many people were working for RAW or India, then RAW would be the biggest employer in Pakistan. And if I had a penny for every time I was accused of working for India as well. So now the issue is that these parties and the whole country, the point is simple. Fear-based narratives require a boogeyman. And what better boogeyman than India, a giant neighbor, unfriendly neighbor. And this narrative is peddled by the ruling class, and it's kind of winning on both sides. And the issue of not being able to hold the elections is taken a back seat. Nobody can question security forces.
Right.
Why? Why they are saying we are not going to provide security. I think that is the question to be asked.
The fact that governments around the world bring up this bogey of a foreign hand every time they are in trouble is something that's pretty well established. But the fact that in Pakistan, at a time when it is important that elections be held according to the schedule, the Pakistani government in an affidavit has dragged its neighboring nation, India, and also Afghanistan. Do you think this is even valid? And is this something that will be acceptable to the people of Pakistan at a time when a serious, important constitutional exercise, such as voting and elections, have to be held?
When we cannot talk about the elephant in the room, that is when we are forced to talk about the boogeyman. So, of course, elections are very important, but we have to understand that Pakistan is going through a financial crunch and holding two elections rather than one election. So if we hold provincial elections rather than all the elections together, it almost doubles the cost. And Pakistan is barely going to have enough money to have one election. The other issue is that if Punjab elections are held before the general elections, Punjab is already accused of making and breaking governments in Pakistan. That's the history of Pakistan. So if Punjab government is made much before the federal government,
right,
then whoever wins Punjab is going to influence on the Punjab government. So, and then obviously our neighbor Afghanistan is there, destabilizing it. The only worst thing that we can have Taliban as a neighbor is having Taliban in our country, and that's what we have.
Absolutely.
So we're going to keep playing tit for tat, sorry.
Absolutely. I think we're completely out of time, Amar Shaheen. Thank you very much indeed for joining us and putting that in perspective. Where the fact of the matter is, at a time when the Pakistani government should be engaged in sorting out its own problems, it is going out and making these fantastic claims that not even the people in Pakistan are willing to accept. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.